Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Follow up to a colleague, because I didn't hear you actually answer the question. So yes or no, does the president truly believe that Democrats hate Jews?
Oh my God.
I am not going to comment on a potentially leaked document. I can tell you what I can tell
does he
you.
think Democrats hate Jewish people, as he said in the South?
I think that they've had a lot of opportunities over the last few weeks to condemn some abhorrent comments. I'm trying to answer. If you'd stop talking, I'll finish my statement.
Yes, sure.
The president has had and laid out clearly his position on this matter. Democrats have had a number of opportunities to condemn specific comments and have refused to do that. That's a question, frankly, I think you should ask Democrats what their position is, since they're unwilling to call this what it is and call it out by name and take actual action against members who have done things like this, like the Republicans have done when they had the same opportunity.
So I want to ask about Paul Manafort, but I just want to be very clear. You're not answering the question. Is there a reason?
I believe I answered it twice.
You didn't say yes or no. Does he really believe Democrats hate Jews? I'm just trying to get a sense of that.
I think that's a question you ought to ask the Democrats.
Does the president hate Jews? That's a question you have to ask the Democrats. Okay, I'm a Democrat. Yes, the president hates Jews. Yes, he does. The president tweets the most anti-Semitic crap. The president says the most anti-Semitic crap. That Nazis are fine people. There are a lot of fine Nazis, all right? The president tweets Hillary Clinton with a Jewish star and money. The president retweets all this stuff about George Soros and some giant Jewish conspiracy, okay? The president is the favorite of the Daily Stormer. They love Steve Bannon, and Stephen Miller is a world heavyweight champion racist. So that's the answer. Not ask the Democrats, but if you want to ask me, the answer is yes, the president hates Jews. There's no question. And Jim Acosta, I mean, all of these people. So Jonathan Karl took a stab at it. Does the president really believe Democrats hate Jews? She won't answer. Hallie Jackson, you didn't answer the question. Does the president believe that Democrats hate Jews? He says, she says, ask the Democrats to find out what the president believes. All right, here's Jim.
Just to get back to John and Hallie's question about the president's comments about Democrats and Jewish people, isn't that kind of rhetoric just sort of beneath everybody? And do you think that the president has thought at all going into this 2020 campaign that the rhetoric just needs to be lowered, whether it's talking about Democrats, the media, immigrants, or should we just plan on hearing the president use the same kind of language that we heard in 2016 and all through the first couple of years of this administration?
Look, I think that the real shame in all of this is that Democrats are perfectly capable of coming together and agreeing on the fact that they're comfortable ripping babies straight from a mother's womb or killing a baby after birth, but they have a hard time condemning the type of comments from Congresswoman Omar. I think that is a great shame. The president has been clear on what his position is, certainly what his support is for the people and the community of Israel. And beyond that, I don't have anything further for you, Jim.
That just sort of drags down the rhetoric in the debate when you're saying something that's just patently untrue. I mean, obviously
Stating their policy positions
but
is not
Democrats
patently
don't.
untrue.
But Democrats don't hate Jewish people. It's just silly. It's not true.
I think they should call out their members by name, and we've made that clear. I don't have anything further. April?
But the president, you know,
Sorry, Jim.
his
April,
rhetoric
go ahead.
after Charlottesville saying that there are very fine people on both sides in Charlottesville, essentially suggesting that there are very fine people in the Nazis.
That's not at all what the president was stating.
Well,
not
but-
then, not at any point. The president has been incredibly clear and consistently and repeatedly condemned hatred, bigotry, racism in all of its forms, whether it's in America or anywhere else. And to say otherwise is simply untrue.
You live in a fantasy world, honey. You live in a world that where the president of the United States is not Donald Trump. I don't know where you get this crap from, but here you have it.
David Duke and say that you don't want his vote or that of other white supremacists in this election? Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, did he endorse me or what's going on? Because, you know, I know nothing about David Duke. I know nothing about white supremacists. And so you're asking me a question that I'm supposed to be talking about people that I know nothing about.
But I guess the question from the Anti-Defamation League is, even if you don't know about their endorsement, there are these groups and individuals endorsing you. Would you just say unequivocally you condemn them and you don't want their support?
Well, I have to look at the group. I mean, I don't know what group you're talking about. You wouldn't want me to condemn a group that I know nothing about. I'd have to look. If you would send me a list of the groups, I will do research on them, and certainly I would disavow if I thought there was something wrong.
If I thought there was something wrong, David Duke is a white supremacist, anti-Semitic guy who makes no bones about. I don't even know. And then he, you know, this is prior to him endorsing Roy Moore, a pedophile, right? I mean, it's just it's so crazy. And then all of a sudden, you know, a picture of Donald Trump. Of course, you knew deep down inside that massage parlor / rub and tug place that what's his name from the Patriots got caught, Robert Kraft got busted in. You just knew deep down inside there was some connection to Donald Trump. And of course, now we find out that the girl who started all these massage parlors, she still owns a few of them, but not that one. But there were Yelp reviews from back in the day when she, you know, like 3 years ago when she did own that place, that, you know, on Yelp they were saying you could go there and you could get, you know, a rub and tug. You could do the happy ending there kind of thing. So all of a sudden this woman shows up in all of these selfies with Donald Trump, with Eric Trump, with Donald Jr., with Donald Trump's sister, who is a Supreme Court justice, with, I mean, the whole freaking mob of them, all with this this girl, Cindy Yang. Her name's Lee Yang, but she calls herself Cindy. I mean, they're everywhere. And it turns out she has like a direct relationship with the Chinese government, and she is like some Chinese spy. This is how she was bringing girls over here from China and getting them to, you know, work in her massage parlors. And now she's sold those massage parlors, and now she has an investment fund that actually encourages Chinese businessmen to give her money so she can introduce them to Donald Trump. You just knew that there was going to be a connection there between this place and I mean, he's such a gross person. He's so vile. He's just, I can't even take it. But this anti-Semitic thing, let me tell you something, this is going to get way off the hook because he is anti-Semitic. He's always been anti-Semitic. The people, I just want you to know this, the people of Israel are not a monolith. Just like the people of the United States are not a monolith. There are progressives in Israel. There are progressives in the United States. There are right-wing lunatics in Israel. There are right-wing lunatics in the United States. The Likud party is the uber right-wing. And it's just like Donald Trump's party is the uber right-wing. And Benjamin Netanyahu just got indicted for taking bribes. So, you know, the whole idea that all of Israel is united around Donald, it's just a ridiculous notion. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And, you know, this thing with Ilhan Omar, she is a freshman, okay? She's a freshman. She's learning. And she's learning that if you're going to criticize AIPAC, which is a giant lobby shop, you have to choose your words very, very carefully. She's learning, and she unequivocally apologized because she doesn't understand yet. But this is a woman whose history you have to understand. She is a Somali refugee. Our interventions in Somalia are legendary. Just ask Paul Manafort. Just ask them. Ask Roger Stone. Ask Paul Manafort, the whole torturers lobby, about all this crap that we did. And then she ends up as a refugee living in a refugee camp, Like I said, if your government has camps, maybe you ought to not support the policy of your government that allows for camps. You know, China's got 1 million Muslims in camps, 1 million of them in camps. So she ended up in a refugee camp in Kenya for 4 years. You think maybe her experience in this world is informing some of her questions that she has for the world? Nobody's excusing the fact that she used extremely loaded tropes and that the Democrats passed an anti-hate bill that says, you know, we don't tolerate hatred for any religion. We just don't. But that didn't stop them. That doesn't stop. You want to hear hatred? You want to hear pure, unadulterated hatred from a real hater, from a real, I want to say the a-hole word so bad, but you know what? She's not worth it.
Think about it. Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution?
You know, this woman is really backcrap crazy, I have to say. And the fact that she was a judge should really let it sit in your head that she was a judge handing out sentences to people just like T.S. Ellis did. Okay? These people actually had the power to send people away. To send people away. This is white supremacy. This is hatred for an entire religion. I mean, Jeanine Pirro is, according to everything I've read about her, she's Catholic. Does she have a problem with nuns covering their head with habits or wearing the long frock down to the floor? Does she have a problem with the male priests wearing I don't know what to call it, a yarmulke, essentially, or a collar around their neck? Does she have a problem with, Hasidic women shaving their heads and wearing scarves or wigs? Because there's something about hair in religion that freaks people out. I just, I kind of understand it, but I don't. So why is she attacking this woman for wearing a scarf when other religions cover their heads too? When other religions wear different clothing than I wear, okay? You've got the Hasidic Jews. They wear quite some outfit there, okay? They wear a long black coat. They wear the foxtail hats. They have payas. They do look different. Do you have a problem with them too? Are they antithetical to the Constitution? Why is a scarf so offensive to you? If you're saying that she is anti-Semitic, very Semitic people, extremely religious people also cover their hair. Nuns do it too. What is the issue? How does she get there in her little perturbed, perverted head?
I don't have to tell you, Nancy. Jews have been persecuted almost from the beginning of time, when they were forced out of Egypt, to the 6 million killed in the Holocaust. And now we are witnessing the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe, where incidents are up 74% in the last year alone in France.
You know who's doing this? You know who's spearheading this anti-Semitic movement across Europe, in Hungary and in Poland? Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is all over the world right now, especially Europe. He's in Europe and he's doing everything you could possibly imagine to drum up anti-Semitism. He actually opens this movie, The Brink. It opens with a very startling scene in which Steve Bannon will recall touring the concentration camps at Auschwitz and Birkenau, and he realizes, to his surprise, that Birkenau is the scary one. Because Auschwitz was created out of old buildings, an old college campus. But Birkenau was built with the wonders of German industrial design from the ground up. See, Birkenau was a real testament to the German engineering superiority right? They designed the nuts and the bolts of the camps, and they had no knowledge. They didn't know what they were supporting when they built it. Oh, my God. You know, Bannon doesn't think of himself as particularly as an anti-Semite, but he is. He's all over. I mean, remember the Roy Moore campaign? Who was Roy Moore's campaign manager? Steve Bannon. Yeah, Steve Bannon in Alabama. Roy Moore, another one with underage. They're always underage. I mean, they never saw a pedophile they wouldn't defend. Not Jeffrey Epstein. No one. They've never seen a pedophile they wouldn't defend. And Steve Bannon actually campaigned, created Roy Moore's campaign. And when he lost, he got very bitter. He got very, very bitter. And all of a sudden, he became persona non grata in the right-wing circles. He got fired from Breitbart, right? But meanwhile, this is one of the most anti-Semitic regs there is. And Robert and Rebecca Mercer knew they were going to get busted. And so, with the Mueller investigation. And so Cambridge Analytica doesn't even exist anymore. So then he went to Europe. He went to the power centers of Europe. And he took anti-Semitism and racism and decided to rebrand it. And he is the person that meets with the French National Front Party that she's talking about. This is who he goes and hangs with. These right-wing, neo-Nazi front groups, Vlaams Belang Party of Belgium and the Swedish Democrats. They have these polite little dinners where they sit around and they exchange anti-immigrant, populist, nativist, ideas and how they're going to turn the effing tables in Europe. I'm serious. He's trying to create something called a right-wing supergroup. He calls it's got a name. It's called The Movement. And he gives them American polling data. He gives them analytics, war room analytics. But what he's really giving them is a sense that there's this zeitgeist out there. There's this global revolt against Jews and Muslims and, people of color. And he goes, to these right-wing lunatic like Viktor Orban in Hungary, who is a devout anti-Semite. He's a communist. I mean, and he those are his friends, and they all sit around and talk about how to take Europe back, how to do it again, and this time win it. And it is a war against anybody who isn't, a white Aryan. It's the same damn thing. It's the old, he actually called it an old school Christian democracy. In old school Christian democracy, you could have slaves. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.